Oh well. Hello everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host Ajoe21love. Yes, it wasn't a pretty week as far as picks are concerned. Halloween got me. I can say my first time doing this podcast where I was below 500 in a week, including the playoffs, under 500. But considering it's Halloween, I guess it's so spooky season, but overall, a good week. Almost halfway through the NFL season. It's some solid games. We'll go over those, as well as, of course, my picks for week 9, which will be the halfway point then next week of the NFL season with the ad games and the extra week. Also, give my thoughts on Michigan and Michigan State, along with UFC 268. But thank you. Um, if you're new to this podcast and if you want to see more of sports OB topics as well as my pro wrestling reviews, click that subscribe. Find all my videos on the channel. Also, if you like this video, be sure to click that like button as well. It would help out the video. But with that out of the way, week 8 of the NFL season is now in the books. The Kansas City Chiefs just picked up the victory in a close one, tight one over the New York Football Giants. But first, going over Thursday Night Football. It was a good one on Thursday night. The Packers extend their winning streak. Excuse me. They extend their winning streak with a tight win over the now 7-1 Arizona Cardinals, who are no longer undefeated. Larry Zonka and the 72 Dolphins can pop the champagne because once again for another year, they're still the lone unbeaten team in the NFL. So they can pop the champagne thanks to Aaron Rodgers as they won 24-21. Now, they were up big, but yeah, I believe they were up 10. And then the Cardinals drove down, got a touchdown. Kyler, though, you can tell he was a bit injured. J.J. Watt, that certainly affected the defense. A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones had a heck of a night running the ball, despite no Devontae Adams, all their injuries, both on offense and defense. But then Packers were stopped inside the 5 and went 4 and out and gave the Cardinals the ball back with plenty of time to take the lead or tie it, send it overtime. Kyler managed a few big plays to Green, to Kirk. DeAndre Hopkins was also in and out of the lineup as well. And then the final play came when, Kyler was going for AJ Green, but AJ did not turn around, and the corner made the play on the ball, picked it off, and intercepted the ball. Little to no time left, and the Packers hold on and get the win. Obviously, I picked the Cardinals to win just based off how they were going and the injuries, but Aaron Rodgers gets done. The games I was correct on, as I quote, are Titans, Rams, picking for the Bills, Patriots, Jaguars, because I changed my pick, Cowboys, and yeah, those games I was right on, 6 and 9. I mean, now going to Sunday. So, and a wild one in the Meadowlands. Mike White making his first NFL start. Now, he's been in the league a few years, but he has not started an NFL game. And with the way the Bengals have been playing, especially coming off the win in Baltimore, and just they traded for Flacco the other day, Jets. So you automatically assume it's like, okay, Mike White will start this game, and then once Joe Flacco gets underway, he'll know the playbook. Mike White played great, just incredible. Over 400 yards passing. Michael Carter also as well had a heck of a day on the ground. Um, the Bengals offense still showed up, but there was mistakes at the end. It was 31-26 at the end, and it looked like, okay, the Bengals gonna run the clock. They go aggressive. A ball gets bat in the air by Joe Burrow, picked, and they get the game-winning touchdown, 2-point conversion, um, and Mike White caps off. Now, I get it because it's the Jets, how they've been, but it was a historic game, and I hope the Bengals don't get too much hearts because they're still 5-3. They're still at the top of the AFC, and their offense still got it done. But it's just the defense did not support them, and just strange because their defense has played well. It hasn't played great, but it's played well. But oh well. Good for Mike White and good for the Jets. He will actually be starting after that big win on Sunday. He'll be starting again on Thursday against the Colts as a reward for that big day. So we'll see how it goes down, but good for Mike White. Joe Burrow in the offense still got good, but their defense was taken off guard, I would say. We go from one 31 game to another. In overtime, the Titans beat the Colts 34-31. This was a crazy game as well. So, Colts were ahead early. And Tannehill threw a pick, and then next thing you know, it's 14-0. And then Titans are driving down again near midfield, and Ryan Tannehill throws a pick, but the defender fumbled and hurt himself, and thus gave the ball back to Tennessee, and A.J. Brown caps off a big touchdown and the momentum, and it was just fireworks from there. Then it was 24-24 tied at the end. Carson Wentz wrapped up, throws a crazy pick six in the end zone, which gives the Titans the lead, but they were able to drive down and tie it going to overtime. Wentz, however, threw another pick in OT, which ultimately set up the game-winning Randy Bullock field goal. But the big news now for the Titans is going the rest of the season without, at least the rest of the regular season, without Derrick Henry. Their big bulldozer who had 2,000 yards last year, he's going to have foot surgery tomorrow, or if not today when you see this. But nonetheless, he'll be out indefinitely, and they'll go the way. Now, they did sign Adrian Peterson, and they do have Jeremy McNichols, who's done well in the passing game. But we'll have to see. I will say, though, that all hope is not lost for the Titans, although despite this big blow. Because Ryan Tannehill, yes, he has obviously been a great balance to Derrick Henry. They bounce off nicely off each other. Yes, people want to say it's just Derrick Henry. Well, it's Ryan Tannehill too. So there's that. Marvin's workload. Julio Jones. It depends if he's healthy, because if he's healthy, then that will help out the passing game much, along with A.J. Brown. And then that defense, it had a bunch of penalties against the Colts. If they can clean that up, then they can be good down the stretch. Stay good, or stay the course down the stretch. As for the Colts, I mean, Carson Wentz, besides those picks and turnovers, was riding high going in to the game. And, again, 24 points and Scott, and tying it at the end. But ultimately, those mistakes, what cost them. And now it almost seems like they're out of the division race and will have to, at best, look for a wild card. But gutsy performance, I will say, by the offense. Then, what was farther than the score would suggest, the Rams beat the Texans 38-22. However, it was 3-0, and then the Texans got the Rams sleeping a bit and scored 22 points to make it a two-score game. However, the bleeding stopped and the Rams held on. But yeah, the offense is just firing on all cylinders. I said throughout this 3-game stretch that they would have to win at least 2 of them against the Giants and the Lions. Well, they won all 3. So, kudos to them. Matthew Stafford, it's just great to see, considering all those years in Detroit. But, yeah. And now, the big news for LA they acquire Von Miller from the Broncos to pair with Aaron Donald, with Jalen Ramsey, with Leonard Floyd. I mean, it's a who's who on that defense. Also crazy because that offense is high power, so they don't have to do much. But if this doesn't signify that the Rams are trying their hardest to, and they desperately want to be the second straight team to host a Super Bowl, then in their home stadium, then this is not much to say. The Steelers are are in business and looking good as they win in Cleveland 15-10. Now, again, it wasn't pretty, only 15 points. It was a defensive battle, and especially with the injury of Chris Boswell, that it was just now Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb were both back. But that didn't mean that they were fully healthy and was back to normal Browns offense. I mean, now OBJ, he only had one catch. Jarvis Landry had some drops. It did not look pretty. Now, they're still back to 500. We'll see. This division is so tight. And as for the Steelers, they're back above 500, 4-3. We know their formula. You know, this kind of reminds me of the Steelers teams that I read about before I started really getting into football. This team reminds me of those Steelers teams. Great defense, good running game. Najee Harris and the O-line, they're really gelling together. Big Ben, yes, it's efficient. It's not pretty, it's not flashy, but it's getting the job done. So, yeah. Oh, Detroit, I feel bad for you. 44-6, Eagles win. Lions stay winless. I thought if there was a game that the Lions were gonna get a win, that would be this one. And they can still get a win before the season is over. But it's not gonna get easier than the Eagles. And kudos to the Eagles. You know, Jalen Hurts did what he needed to. Jordan Howard, he did what he needed to. I mean, no Miles Sanders. Boston Scott had a hell of a day. Um, Good that Lynn Johnson is back and he sounds better. So that's good. But poor Detroit, I will say that. And then what was an entertaining game up until the end. The 49ers beat the Matt Nagy-less Bears 33-22. And it's crazy. 3 rushing touchdowns combined in this game by the quarterbacks. 2 by Jimmy G, 1 great run by Justin Fields on 4th down, which would have tied the game, except Carlos Santos missed the extra point. And You know, as far as the scoreboard was concerned, the Bears were controlling the ball, controlling the game for the majority, but once once the big plays broke open for the 49ers, they just kept rolling. And again, good for Jimmy G, good for the Niners. They're still in this. I mean, moral victories also for the Bears. I know they didn't win this, but I guess good for the Bears. It's just hopefully they can use this as a starting point and move forward with this game plan. And then the Panthers also got back on track as they won 19-13. Wasn't pretty. I feel like I've been saying that for a bunch of these games, so I agreed. It wasn't pretty. They won 19-13. On Halloween, Matt Ryan's hand looked not good as he got cleated. His left hand, it was bloody, but that kind of symbolized this game. Ugly. And Sam Darnold did well running the ball. Chuba Hubbard also had a good day as well. And they kind of need this game as well, to get back on track. Obviously, the four-game skid, but they got done and back to 500. And then the Bills. Now, I won't say it again, but this one was very close. Much closer than you would have thought, probably. I mean, it was 10-3 late in the game for the Bills, and I get it. They were favored by 13, but divisional opponent. All I could think of was, where was this Dolphins defense this whole season? I mean, but only 11 points. That's the issue for the Dolphins. And as we get closer and closer to the trade deadline, the Deshaun Watson rumors are ringing and ringing more and more. And I like Tua, but when it comes to big games like these, it's issue. Now, yes, he got knocked out of the game earlier this year in Miami, but still, big games here, it's just, we have to see. And then I had a feeling, and I was glad that I was right about this. The Patriots won it over the Chargers. I think they won their last 10 out of 11 against the Chargers. I don't really think about that going into this. I just felt, well, how would they match up? And it was a sweet day for the Patriots as they won 27-24. 2 picks by Adrian Phillips, the former Charger safety, 1 for a pick six. And they just kind of phrased Justin Herbert most of the day. And Matt Judon, I'm like, more and more I see this team, the more I'm starting to like it more. Mac Jones, getting more familiar with the offense. And isn't great, isn't flashy, but it's efficient, you know. And we have the good teams, and I'm not going to get my hopes up. I'm just saying that with the good teams at the top of the AFC, we know Buffalo, Cincy, Baltimore, the Raiders, I'll conclude the Titans. Besides those teams, there's a lot of mid, and the Patriots are one of those mid teams in the AFC. And, we'll see. They still got some interesting games left, but good one for them. Chargers, they fall 4-3, but still above 500. Very well. Some of the thick of things. I mean, I think it's just schematically. Herbert versus Belichick. It's just what it is, but I expect both. I expect the Chargers, to rebound. I'll say. And then Seahawks beat. They rebounded 31-7 over Jacksonville. The Jags, you know, they came off a bye off the one victory against Miami. Coming in the year, I think many probably gave them the victory, but you know, Geno Smith had a good day, and despite still not having Chris Carson or Russell Wilson, they got it done in Seattle for their fans. And DK Metcalf had stellar game. You know, more growing pains with the Jags, and it kind of it's still his rookie season, but it still pains me as a fan of Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer. And it's just yeah. And then what was a almost malfunction, pretty much to say, the Broncos beat Washington 17-10. But, you know, why I say it was almost a malfunction? Well, down inside 2 minutes, Broncos have the ball. Bad time clock management. They throw the ball once, it's incomplete. Okay. You run the ball, okay. You fumble and you recover, okay. Then you run again, okay. They give the ball away. And just like that, the Washington has the ball near in the red zone, and luckily the Broncos defense saved them there, but still, that is just bad clock management, I will say. I mean, both. The Broncos. Obviously, we know they started 3-0. They beat the Giants, Jets, and Jaguars, and then they had that skid, and good for them that they're back. Washington have been just a major disappointment for me this year. I mean, many of us thought that defense was going to be much better than it has been. And well, holding Denver only 17 points, okay. But the offense as well, you know, they got Antonio Gibson, they got Terry McLaurin, Taylor Heineke. I thought this was a game they could win. And only 10 points, it's just odd. It's very odd. What was also odd was the next game, but 36-27, Saints beat the Bucks in pretty much a needed game. You know, so Jameis Winston, obviously the storyline was coming in this game. Jameis Winston, of course, drafted by the Bucks, #1 overall in 2015. Would he like to be his former team? Yes. And he did well to start. He had some good runs, you know, but he was taken down by a horse collar tackle and unfortunately tore his ACL. Trevor Siemian came in and looked unfrazzled. He looked calm. And besides a pick that was, you know, some of the calls in this game were mind boggling, just crazy and wacky. But and but Bucks found their offense late and but ultimately it was an interception by or a pick six by Brady, which I can understand what the mistiming and the miscommunication and what he was seeing, but at the same time, it was an opportunistic play by PJ Williams, and the Saints get it done. They're at 5-2, and they're in the thick of things as well. I, I would still say it's Tampa's division, but I think you have to respect the Saints as a wild card team. Now, obviously, the takeaway is the quarterback position. Well, Ian Buck was out. Taysom Hill, he'll be back next week, hopefully. So I imagine they'll be running a two quarterback system with Taysom Hill and Trevor Siemian going forward. I mean, look, they miss Taysom Hill and the running game and all the things he can do in the pass game, etc. Also, I must say, Mark Ingram, yes, you can say what you want. You can say he's not really a great running back, but he's good for the Saints. He's good for the Saints. And in a time with the injuries and needing a backup to Alvin Kamara, who knows them better than Mark Ingram, who's been with them for like a decade and was mates with Alvin Kamara for many years, for I would say like the first 4 or 5 years of his career. Now back again with the Saints. So yeah, or no, excuse me. He was with them for his MVP year. So first 2 years, excuse me. As for the Bucks, not much to say. I mean, look, they're still 6-2, so which is good. It's not bad, and they're still a very talented team, one of the more talented teams in the league. And I think they do miss Antonio Brown because he has not been practicing in a bit. Gronk, he was active for the game. He played for a bit, but did not catch anything. You know, he's the type of player where you want him in when it counts. And I expect because besides Buffalo, they don't really have a tough game down the stretch. So it's going to be interesting to see how they use them going forward. But I think the main problem is they do miss that third receiver besides Godwin and Evans, which is strange because they're a low team. But I think they do miss Antonio Brown. Uh, and they still scored 27 points. But yeah. Then we get to Sunday Night Football as the Cowboys beat the Vikings 20-16 in what was a game that summed up the whole week 8. Strange. Just strange. No Derrick. He was still out with his calf. And he was practicing before the game. And it looked well. But they didn't start him. Cooper Rush started. Now, the Vikings, they went down a swift, easy first drive, scored a wide open touchdown to Thielen, and you thought, okay. And then it just, as the game wore on, and Danielle Hunter was rolled out, and, it was just strange because it was close. And I mean, the Cowboys are still a really talented team. So I expect it to be close. But naturally, for the Vikings, facing a backup QB, you expected it to be a blowout. But it's just throughout the game, you were looking at the Vikings play calling and the way they were playing. They just felt conservative and they weren't trying to win, they were trying their best not to lose, which I mean is okay, but at the same time, you got really talented players on Dallas, and if you have them on the ropes, go for the knockout. Go for it. Don't play around with it. And they just played around with it the whole game, except maybe besides the opening drive. But they just, let them hang around, let them hang around. And yes, Hunter's injury probably played a factor into it. But I mean, and they had interceptions, they had turnovers, but so Cowboys win. You know, strange spots for both teams. Obviously, Cowboys now 6-1, but yeah, just strange. But nearly capitalize Week 8 with Monday Night Football. Chiefs get back on track. They win 20-17. This was an ugly and close one most of the game, throughout till the end. And you could argue both teams played sloppy, ultimately. I mean, it just felt, the cold weather, the sloppiness of the Chiefs, Daniel Jones. He played okay, but ultimately didn't come through in the end. I mean, good for the Chiefs to get back on track. The Giants had a great day at the office against the Panthers, and they don't get it done here. They had it. They had it. It was there to be had, but they didn't get it done. But now the Chiefs go back to 500. The Giants, they showed one shot of a Giants fan and the crowd after Jones was sacked, and that pretty much sums it up right there. But yeah, sorry about that for the Giants. And yeah, so that was week 8. Now, before I get into week 9, I must say, so we had a thrilling game for the NCAA on Saturday. We had Michigan State, who was then number 6 versus number 8. Or, excuse me, Michigan State was number 8, yes, versus Michigan, number 6. And it was a tie one. Michigan was controlling the ball, but when it was a fourth down, big throw in the end zone, which really broke open the seal for Michigan State's offense, and they just took control. Kenneth Walker, 5 touchdowns for the stellar running back of the Spartans, and the Spartans reign over the Wolverines, and they get done 37-33, and are now number 5 in the NCAA rankings. So good for them. Michigan, it's unfortunate because Jim Harbaugh, you like him, and his Michigan teams have always been good, but haven't climbed over the hump, whether it's been Michigan State or Ohio State. It just hasn't been there. But yeah, kudos to the Spartans. Just unfortunate. UFC 268 is Saturday. So we had UFC 267 on Saturday, which was great moment for Glover Teixeira. 42 years old, the second oldest UFC champion in history. He's been through the well many times in the UFC. He lost to John Jones. You know, he's been good, but he hasn't gotten that extra push. Same with Michigan, I would say. But, you know, after he got knocked out by Gustafson, I thought there'd be no way that he could win a title at for the UFC. And then he kept winning, and then he kept winning, then he kept winning. Ride this 5 fight win streak into this fight against Jan Blachowicz, who's deadly Mr. Polish Power. But riding his jiu-jitsu, um, got him down in the second round, choked him out, and new UFC champion Glover Teixeira. Great for him. Now UFC 268 on Saturday. Got some good ones. Headlined by Kamal Usman running it back against Colby Covington. The rematch will happen this Saturday. Should be fun. Get to my pick a bit, but first I want to go over another great fight on the card, which could turn out to be fight of the year. We don't know, but Iron Michael Chandler versus Justin Gaethje. Can't come up with a better matchup than that. I mean, Gaethje, we have not seen him since he lost to Khabib over a year ago. Now, he's fighting Michael Chandler, who was close but no cigar in being Charles Oliveira to be UFC lightweight champion. So, very interesting fight for both. Because both are very skilled on the ground, both have good wrestling, and both have very good power. Both are seasoned vets. I know if it's a dogfight, I can't go away from Gaethje, and he's called a highlight for a reason. So, my pick would be Justin Gaethje. Second round TKO. Then we got an interesting women's matchup. We got Zhang Weili versus Thug Rose, Namajunas. The rematch should be fun as well. I mean, Zhang Weili, she is tough. And Thug Rose, it's good seeing her back as well in the UFC after a layoff, after she semi-retired. And yeah, good to see her back. Should be a fun matchup. Not sure who pick, but not going to the judges like the first fight. I know that. So yeah, that's all I can say for that fight. The main event though should be fun. Kamal Usman, Colby Covington. I mean, damn, that is one hell of a main event. The first fight was great. I mean, back and forth. Um, Colby, he broke his jaw in the third round, but still fought him well. Obviously, Kamaru, whether you want to say or not, he finished him. it was still a finish in the 5th round. And, you know, who knows if it went to the judges, but still was a great fight. And I'm expecting another. Um, Probably not 5 rounds, but somewhere around the 3rd round, and we see I'm gonna see a submission by by Kamaru Usman. But those are my thoughts on UFC 268. So a fun card. Looking forward to on Saturday. But after my thoughts on that, now let's get into it. After a bad week of picks, look forward to week 9. Now, gotta get back on track. After a great week last week, and then week 8, bad week. So, gotta get back on track here. Although I will say, 6 upsets happened week 8. And, if you want to get a high score on picks, you gotta pick some upsets. That's the basics of picking games. But let's get into them. Starting on Thursday Night Football, Jets and Mike White making his second NFL start after a great performance on Sunday versus the Bengals. Goes to Indianapolis. Play a Colts team that just lost in overtime. I mean, 14-point favorites are the Colts. Obviously, Vegas isn't thrilled about Mike White's performance. Look, that was the division for the Colts on Sunday. Now it's about being competitive and possibly getting a wild card for the Colts. Now, yes, the Jets showed good signs, obviously, on Sunday. Michael Carter played well. Mike White played tremendous. That defense still scored 31 points. You have to remember that. Now, Quinn Williams played well, very well as well. However, Colts, Jonathan Taylor has played his butt off the whole season, and him, Carson Wentz, while I commend Mike White, so I gotta go for the Colts. This is a game they need to win. So, I mean, Sunday was a must win. This is a must win now. Otherwise, they're going into the tank. And it's unfortunate, but this is a game they need to win. So, 28-24, Colts win, Jets cover. That's my respect to Mike White, but yeah. So we got Sunday games. Saints now 5-2, hosting the Falcons. Falcons, we have to see. They're now under 500. Now, I haven't checked the stats of Matt Ryan in his hand, but it looked bad at the end of that game. It seemed like it affected his throwing a bit, and being his non-throwing hand. But yeah, we'll have to see. As for the Saints, it's going to be Trevor Siemian, I believe, and Taysom Hill. And having Taysom Hill back will benefit their offense. So I'm going with the Saints. Get this on 27-24. Then we got the Broncos going to Dallas to play the Cowboys. Now, it was revealed during Monday Night Football that Dak will be a full go and practice with this week. And that won't be good news for the Broncos, whose offense has been suspect all season. So I love Teddy Bridgewater, but 26-20, Broncos win. Or Dallas wins, actually, since the 7.5. I'll say 30-20, Dallas. So then we got the Patriots, now up to 500, going to Carolina. What's the status of Sam Darnold after that big hit at the end of the game? Patriots 2.5-point favorites. You know, it seems like the Patriots are getting more and more into themselves. I'm not saying arrogance. I'm saying more comfortable, as in the rhythm, and the team is improving week by week, and the defense is showing up. I think this will be an ugly game, but it's still a good one. 23-20. Patriots win over Carolina. They get to 5-4. So then we got the Battle of Purple. We got the Vikings going to Baltimore and the Ravens. Ravens off a bye. Vikings, Sunday night was a game they needed to have, and they just fumbled. And against Baltimore, and Baltimore off a bye, off that horrid loss by Baltimore, I just think, Baltimore gets back to their winning ways, 30-21. Unfortunate, but Baltimore wins. So then we got an interesting feat. We got in the AFC North, we got the Bengals hosting the Browns. Bengals 5-3, Browns 4-4. Bengals 3-point favorites. I mean, the Bengals showed their woe, and they fell asleep, I would say, and had mistakes against the Jets. Baker Mayfield, wasn't all on him. Jarvis Landry had some drops. They couldn't capitalize against the Steelers. However, I like the Browns, obviously, and I just don't trust them right now. And as for the Bengals go, off a bad loss, I expect them to be back and better off that horrid loss after falling asleep. So therefore, I'm going to go with the Bengals to bounce back, get to 6-3 over the Browns in Cincy in the jungle. So then we got the Bills going to Jacksonville to play the Jags. 10.5 point favorites are the Bills. You know, 28-19. That's all I got to say. Bills over Jacksonville. Simple. This is a game I do not want to pick, but I need to pick it. Texans go to Miami. They play the Dolphins. Dolphins 7.5 point favorites. Got the Dolphins. I got Tua. Although we'll see with the trade deadline, but Dolphins win 24-16 over the Texans. So then Raiders go to the Meadowlands. They play the Giants. Giants just lost in a sour pill or a bitter pill to swallow against the Chiefs. They host the Raiders coming off bye. Again, off a bye. Now, it could be a trap game, but I just like what the Raiders are doing, and I mean, off a bye, they just seem Derek Carr is playing great, and I just got them, 27-23. So then we got in Philly, the Chargers coming off a loss to the Patriots. Philly coming off their big win over Detroit. Chargers 3 point favorites. Too little, I would say. Got the Chargers. Get back on track. Get to 5-3. Beat the Eagles. 30-23. Simple. Then we got a much more interesting one with what just happened. Packers now 7-1. They go to Kansas City. They play the Chiefs. We're now 4-4, back at 500. A bit surprised that Chiefs favored in this one, and now with the win, I imagine that line is going to go up. However, I just can't pick against the Packers right now, so I expect a good one, but 31-27, Packers get it done. So then we got the Cardinals versus the 49ers. Cardinals 3 point favorites. Health status of Kyler Murray is uncertain. You've seen limping at the end of the game. I think they're calling it an ankle sprain. I think if he was healthy, I think I'd probably pick him, but with his stats up in the air, I'm going with the 49ers. Get this on 28-20, and they make it two in a row. Then Sunday Night Football, which will obviously take a hit, but still should be fun. The Rams, they host the Titans, 7-1 for 6-2. The Rams firing all cylinders. Titans just lost Derrick Henry, picked up Adrian Peterson. They could trade for someone as well, but still should be interesting. Now, whether Derrick Henry or not, I would still pick the Rams. So therefore, I'm going with the Rams, 35-30. They get the win, get to 8-1, and get back in front in their division. Or wait, yeah, because that would be 2 losses for Cardinals. So yeah, and then to cap off Week 9, this would be nuts, but Steelers hosting the Bears. Steelers 5.5-point favorites. Steelers on a 3-game winning streak. Fields showed signs of promise against the Niners. I mean, once again, this screams ugly game, which fits the Steelers with the way they've been playing. So I'm going to go with the Steelers to get this one moved to 5-3, 27-21 in Pittsburgh. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Week 9. Okay, bad Week 8. Hopefully it's good. Week 9, we'll have to see, but should be interesting. But that's the episode for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you're new, and if you want to see more videos, click that subscribe as well. If you like this video, click the like button. But thank you. See y'all next week, as well as later this week for pro wrestling reviews. But thank you. Be safe. Peace.